Ever since I pointed out the dialogue of this mysterious panel, the whole internet has gone crazy with Boruto time travel theories. So being the pioneer of this theory, I have come up with some even more interesting stuff. Is time travel the only way left for Boruto? And what epic foreshadowings have we missed? Let's find out. The infamous panel of Naruto chapter 687, where this mysterious entity was shown, has become a hot topic in the community. Some say it's actually Boruto who has came back to the past, raising the epic foreshadowing of Kishimoto, while some argue that it's Sakura, and the Boruto theories are a stretch. This scene that people reference while denying this theory was shown after the death of Obito in the anime. Here Sakura can be seen sitting on a cliff, which is a bit far away from Naruto and the others. At first it may seem like it's actually Sakura, however the animated version of this scene completely chopped off the mysterious entity. A few panels earlier in the manga, Sakura was just beside Obito. Kakashi and Obito then turned their faces and dashed towards Kaguya. This means when Sakura was shown besides Obito, the shadowy figure must have been on this side. The fact that the anime omitted this entity completely could also mean that the animators, like most of us, were unaware of this vital detail. Also, the figure was standing on top of the cliff while Sakura was shown sitting. Even when Sakura was shown before the death of Obito in the anime, she was sitting and not standing. Let's assume for a second that this mysterious figure was actually Sakura. This means if she was in this scene where the figure was omitted, she shouldn't be standing. How would it make sense for her to be seated before and after Obito's death, but she was standing during his final moments? This only proves that this figure is not Sakura, and the animators were apparently told to not include this figure in the anime, only because the animated version would have made it easier for us to identify him. Somebody pointed out in my comments that the tale of Urashima Taro, Kintaro and Momotaro were recalled in Naruto Shippuden episode 22. I won't be surprised if Kishimoto has been working on the Otsutsuki plot and the story of Boruto from the early days of Naruto. This explains how he was able to make a Boruto reference almost 16 years prior in the story. It can't be a coincidence that Aida's omnipresent abilities can only look 16 years back into the past, and I will cover that in a moment. Coming on to some other foreshadowing that many of you might have missed. While the dialogue of this panel was a reference to Obito's life, same can be applied to Boruto's life, and it perfectly matches everything after the omnipotence twist. This line, which says he will be hated by his enemies, will refer to Code and his new goal of destroying Boruto and sacrificing Kawaki instead of him. It seems like Himawari will also be against Boruto, cause there is a reference made about the relatives. The mysterious figure seems to be wearing a cloak, which means the time travel won't occur unless Boruto gets the cape and the sword. But how would Boruto go back in past, and what possible thing could help him get everything back? One of the main reasons for Boruto to travel back in time could be to bypass the omnipresent power of Aida. Kawaki can trace Boruto anytime and anywhere with Aida's help. Since it was revealed that she can't see beyond 16 years in the past, Boruto going back to the 4th Shinobi War pretty much makes sense, mainly because it's the nearest point in timeline where he can bypass Aida. We shouldn't forget it's gonna be Momoshiki who will guide him into the past. The fact that he can use the ability to stop time enhances the possibility of him helping Boruto. We know his main goals are to take over Boruto, but the fact that he is still striving in the time skip makes it clear that the monster has changed his mind. He must have helped Boruto in fleeing from Aida and Kawaki, but the question remains, at what cost? Well, I feel like at this point in the story, Momoshiki is more interested in Boruto's fate than anything else. He wants some full-fledged entertainment. That's why he helped Kawaki to escape in chapter 78. Similar to how Ryuk in Death Note acted as a bystander to Light's actions, he also used to help him frequently just to find out how things will end up. Momoshiki might also provide some help to Boruto for the same reason. The way he saved him from Mitsuki's attack in chapter 79 can be seen as his concern for the vessel. Before discussing how possibly could Momoshiki help in Boruto's time travel, what if I told you Boruto could have time travel by mistake? Hear me out. It's very likely that people residing in another dimension are unaffected from omnipotence. Boruto somehow going to the dimension where Kawaki has trapped Naruto could be the key to proving his innocence. Either somebody would ask him to prove his innocence, or he will figure this out himself. Upon trying to sense Naruto's chakra, he might unintentionally unlock the time travel power and will end up in the past. The reason he ended up in this dimension could be because he tried to sense his father's chakra from a realm, which could be similar to the one used by Kawaki. The moment he got a glimpse of his chakra, he must have spoofed there, which made him appear in this panel. By traveling back 16 years into the past, he must be safe from Aida's surveillance as well, and would get a lot of time to come up with a strategy. There are even theories of Boruto going to the moon or Mount Myoboku. I might cover them in the future, so don't forget to subscribe. Talking about Momoshiki's role in time spoofing Boruto, this is where Toneri's prophecy comes into play. We know that he had prophesied the Jogan being the star of hope. Now that Boruto's life has been shrouded flooded with darkness, it must be the right time for the dojutsu to awaken. We shouldn't forget Toneri had also foreseen Momoshiki's prophecy, as he once raised his concern for Boruto fighting his own destiny. This means the Pure Eye prophecy was also seen by Momoshiki, so I feel like he might remind him of the prediction in his own manner. The fact that both the prophecies are bound to happen and Momoshiki knows about both of them, it would make sense if he narrates his own version of Jogan prophecy to Boruto. We might even get some intel on Boruto's Shibai connection, which brings us to the time travel part. We know that Jogan is associated with the Otsutsuki god who ascended to a higher realm to attain this honor. This means Boruto is wielding the eye of an individual who has surpassed the possibility of death. By this we can conclude that Boruto is immortal, but there is more to it. We know the Senringan is just a fragment of Shibai's powers. That's why Aida is restricted to glancing only 16 years in the past. In case of Shibai, he must have true omnipotence ability to look around any time period of the universe. So after Momoshiki reveals the Jogan to Boruto, he might get the power to spoof across the timeline. I was wondering if Shibai had ascended to a higher realm, leaving his mortal body behind. How come was Amado able to extract such godly abilities from his remains, even though his true power lies in his ascended self? This could mean that after consuming millions of chakra fruits, the body of an Otsutsuki automatically gains the godly powers. So maybe after making the deal with Boruto, Momoshiki could ask him to strengthen the Jogan by consuming a lot of chakra fruits. By this he might unlock another godly power, through which he would be able to separate Momoshiki from himself. The only problem with this theory is that Momoshiki would end up making Boruto more powerful and he won't be able to stand him after gaining separation. Or I feel like Momoshiki might try to play a greater game with Boruto, where he would be using him in his favor without his realization. But he would need to be extra careful, as one wrong move could get his vessel killed, leading to the extermination of his soul. Now whether it was an accident or he was sent to the past by Momoshiki, what possible actions could Boruto take in the past to fix his destiny? Well, I have come up with something interesting, so hear me out. What if the Otsutsukis who used omnipotence on humanity before was a foreshadowing of Boruto's time travel? The reason I think this way is because Momoshiki can see people's fate and future, but he is not shown to have omniscient knowledge. It might be that upon peeking into Boruto's future, he must have ended up seeing him manipulate the memories of people from the past. I know that Boruto is not an Otsutsuki god, but he does possess the power which is limited to them. So whether this detail was a reference to Boruto's future actions, or it becomes obvious to Otsutsukis when omnipotence is used, this must require a lot of experience, cause only Momoshiki was able to catch the shift in reality. Boruto and Kawaki, even though being Otsutsukis, were unable to recognize the omnipotence. Another theory which perfectly fits in the time travel scenario is the one which states Momoshiki being Shibai Otsutsuki in disguise. As I mentioned in a previous video, the soul of the Otsutsuki which is inside Boruto actually turning out to be Shibai Otsutsuki will solve tons of plot holes, including why he would help Boruto. The purpose of Shibai could be to retrieve his remains that were misused by Amado in creating such powerful cyborgs. That's why he chose Boruto and pretended to be Momoshiki all along, in order to meet his own goals. Find out more about this theory in this video, and don't forget to subscribe to never miss an upload. I'll see you next time.